Hey guys, this is Mike with Ideas by Mike, and today on Stories, Resources, and Ideas, we're going to talk about how you should hang in during the tough times. Look forward to sharing a couple stories about that with you today.
Hi guys, welcome back to a new week of Stories, Resources, and Ideas, powered by Ideas by Mike. I'm Mark Conway, and here with Mr. Mike Milligan himself. How are you, sir?
I am great, Mark. How you doing?
I'm good. I've got coffee. It's a well-caffeinated and hydrated day, so I cannot complain.
I guess I should be telling everybody I'm sharing a little a little cool beverage myself, not the hot stuff, but yeah, we man, the world is upside down, it seems, doesn't it?
It really does. It's been an interesting start to 2022 already.
Man, but we, ever since the calendar's turned to 2020, right?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that really been man, it's been a really tough start. Isn't that what we said in 2020 and then 2021 and 2022, right?
I think everybody was running a huge high on 2019. Yeah. 2020 hit, and it has really been episodically rocky all the way through.
I know. And here we are. I mean, we're actually talking about tough times today. So, wow, what a great intro to start. Have you had any tough or rough experiences lately for yourself?
I'll tell you, a lot of what I do is working with other businesses, and with the ups and downs that small business is handling right now, and kind of having to endure with all of the different things, whether it's shipping things or it's lack of customers, labor being a big issue. That affects how much work I can do with them. So I feel the impact from everybody else's businesses as well.
Right. Yeah. And shout out to all those small businesses that are struggling every day. Many of those owners are, they are sacrificing, man, a lot of their future to kind of keep their business going for the benefit of the greater community they serve. I mean, most small businesses don't work outside of their little small communities that they deal in. Mm-hmm. I think I saw a stat by the Small Business Administration that a small business like under $1 million of revenue, 95% of their customers are within, a mile or a mile and a half of where they are. Those are in the big metropolitan cities. And man, shout out to all the small businesses that are doing what they can to keep the door open and still pursue their dreams and goals at the same time. Better times are ahead. I mean, the future is always better if you're optimistic and you work and you just embrace the hustle. Mm-hmm. There's so many people who give up right before that breakthrough. And that's kind of one of the things we're going to talk about today, because this is a podcast of encouragement today, hanging there in the tough times. But I want to tell you a story about that. I do a lot of work with federal employees. I mean, we were talking about small business. A lot of my consultations come with employees that are that work at the federal government or work in the state government per se. And so, I mean, one of the biggest employers out there. And so I get a lot of chance to meet a lot of different people, because a lot of my consultations are 15 or 30 minutes, and then they move forward on with their life after getting educated or getting a problem solved that they need. And then they'll reach back out to me in the future if something comes out. But man, I had a client, we'll call him Andrew, and his wife, Cindy. Andrew and Cindy have been married about 28 years now. But during that time, Andrew's 51. During that time, he served in many bouts or many stints overseas in his military service, came back to a federal job. But he's 51 years old. He served in the military, and he just completed his 27th medical surgery. 27th medical surgery. He's 51 years old, and he's got he's going to have a shortened lifespan because every time he has surgery, it just, it's this element and that element, this element, and, hearing's going out, they're replacing something there, and it's just a lot. But I would say he's had a lifetime of tough times, a lifetime. But hanging there during the tough times is actually something he shared with me in one of our consultations. I've spent significant more amount of time with him and his wife virtually on the phone, analyzing what they're doing financially, because he knows that his life is going to end short, but he knows that the dreams he and Cindy share together will not die when he dies. And so he's moving through the tough times of his life to kind of perpetuate the dreams he and his wife have together in the future. I mean, in the last 3 years, they've built a house together, a significant house, a $700,000 house that's equipped to handle the rest of his life, when he has limited mobility coming up. But that house is also equipped and was created so that in the future, his wife can segment part of the house off and have renters in there. They intentionally created a situation where when he is no longer here, she's not going to be in a $700,000 house. That $700,000 is going to perpetuate her income needs for the future because of the segmentation they did. They even did it in the landscaping and in the parking situation. You don't often see houses with garages on both sides, but in their house, you see garages on both sides. One eventually for her, and then the other one that's going to house potentially two different sets of renters. So a gentleman who's just experienced the toughest of times, he's told me in combat he saw, because he was a special ops guy, he told me he saw guys who were literally blown up next to him, and he brought pieces of them home. So that's a tough thing that he had to experience in life, not to mention the 27 surgeries he's been through. But then just grappling with the daily reminder that his life is going to be short and the love of his life is going to have to endure and continue the dream they have for each other. And yet he's making those sacrifices now to get there. It's inspiring. And so Andrew's story is, to me, what I got from his story when he shared it with me is that you have to hang in during the tough times, because in his words, the alternative to opting out of the tough times is not worth it. He would rather experience the trials and get the happy glimpses of his life than be anywhere else. And I mean, here or gone, right? He'd rather be gone. And so when he came to me, I just want to, people are going through tough times, but there's so many financial principles that come out of this. I mean, think about it. You could have a tough time with the market going down in value and thinking, oh my gosh, I've lost, $5,000 or $10,000 in the market. Or maybe your cryptocurrency is down because of factors beyond your control. There's things we cannot control. We cannot control anything really that's beyond our sphere right here. I can't control anything that what's in my neighborhood, in my home, and in my relationships that I have. I can't control what happens in the corporate offices of Amazon, for instance. I can't control what happens in the offices of Google or any of these big companies that we can invest in. I can't control anything that happens there. I can't control what happens politically in the world. Whether or not somebody invades somebody or not invades. All I can do is react. And that's what Andrew has kind of been teaching me. I mean, it's just I feel like a lot of time I share things that help with people, but sometimes I get fed into also by the people I run into. And Andrew has fed into me that you hang in there in the tough times. If the stock market goes down 3%, just hang in there, because we know long term the stock market goes up.
Yep.
Right. If it goes down 20%, hang in there. If you don't need the money there, hang in there, right? If you happen to, you happen to get into a situation where you lose a little bit of money because you made a bad situation, hang in there, get educated, don't let it happen again. If you're trying to make, I don't know if you know much about the housing market right now, but if you're trying to buy a house right now, there's like a double whammy. There's no inventory out on the market. And so there's 40 people lining up to see every house that comes on the market, while at the same time, interest rates are going up. The 30-year mortgage has gone up, in the last 6 months, gone from like 2 3/4 to like 4 1/4, like 1.5%. Well, that interest rate changes how much people can afford to buy. I mean, you may have been able to buy a $450,000 house 6 months ago. Maybe now it's only 400, and there's limited supply. So
driving the prices right up.
Right. It's driving prices up, but again, one of the reasons prices are being driven up is because there's just not a lot of houses out there.
No, there's not.
People are scared to sell their house because, well, where are they going to move? They got to go out and compete in this thing. What the hell? So it's been a tough. There's been some real tough times that people experience, these really small tough times. I have a dream. I'm trying to find a house and I can't get it. There's a lot of things working against me that are external. That's a tough time. They'll get it right. The market goes down a little bit, and you think it's, the end of it all and you want to just get out of the market. Well, that's a tough time. You just need to hang in there during the tough time. Or, maybe it's, after Christmas or after a prolonged period of time, you put on 20 pounds or 30 pounds and, hang in there and begin walking again and drinking more water and doing the things we know to do. But here's the resource, in all those kind of rambling stories. I mentioned Andrew and his wife, but also some rambling scenarios that people could be experiencing. I mean, the real big resource during the tough times is your support system. Who do you depend on? Who's your person in this world that you can go to and tell what you're going through, and they could say, hang in there. They don't try to fix you. They just say, hang in there.
Mm-hmm.
I got you. I'm beside you. Financially, when you're going through that, does your financial person say, man, you're going through that, let's make all these changes? Or do they say, hey, our plan is good. The plan we created together is good. But because the plan is good, hang in there, right? And, it could be if you're going through something physical, do you have a good personal trainer? Do you have a good doctor? Do you have all that? But the key is, if you hang in during tough times, generally they pass. So that's our big story today. Find you when things like in Andrew's life have gone tough or they become tough. He has taught me to hang in there, and he has identified me as a resource to help him and Cindy with what they're doing financially. I mean, I can't provide the other resources they need, or I can't be the expert for what he's doing medically. But what he's done is he's brought 7, 8, 10 people around him and his family who are going to help him for the rest of his life. But then there's that same people are going to be there to help Cindy when he is no longer here, so she can fulfill the dreams, have the dreams fulfilled that even they created together. So the times are tough. Hang in there.
I mean, that is the way. You look at some of the most successful people in the investment world, they make a lot of their purchases when that market is taking a downturn because they know it's going to swing back up again. So they're going to buy when things are low because they know that the tide is coming back. It's surround yourself with positive people, get the positive motivation, but always look for those resources like Mike to help guide you through those tough spots and then help carry you through to the next levels of success.
Mark, what you just said about, when things are bad, that's when people make the most money. Is like if you've got a friend group that you go out and hang out with. I mean, your friend group you guys should be talking about, real deep friendships do talk about money.
Yeah.
Right. They give ideas to each other that encourage each other to take chances, calculated chances of risk. Other people, If all your friends are doing is encourage you to drink more alcohol or, take more trips and not really talking about how you focus and grow your assets, then, find friends to help you with that. Find a resource that helps you with that. The other thing you just mentioned when you said that is people make money is Warren Buffett. We would say he's a pretty sophisticated investor. He's made billions in his lifetime with Berkshire Hathaway and his individual investments. But he says when people are fearful, be greedy. When people are greedy, be fearful. So fear generally means market is down. And so when he says when the market's down, when there's fear, be greedy, swipe things up. When people are being greedy, that means prices are high. Be cautious. It's time for you to start pulling back. So
that's a fantastic advice from somebody who has been wildly successful with exactly that mantra.
Yeah. And such simple advice too. It's hard to do. It's so hard to do because, it's herd pack mentality. So when everybody else is fearful, our natural response is to be fearful like they are.
Mm-hmm.
And then when everybody else is greedy, our natural response is to be greedy like they are. You just have to go against the flow.
Yeah.
Find your crowd, find your partners, find your professionals in your life that want to go against the flow.
And just remember, 80% of the money in this world is owned by 20% of the people. That is not the majority. So if you're following the majority, you're probably going the wrong direction.
Right. That's exactly right.
Well, guys, if you haven't done so already, follow Ideas by Mike on Instagram. Mike and his team are the ones that's actually there answering those messages that come in. So send comments, send ideas, send questions, send everything to them because they're the ones answering. And then, of course, bookmark meetwithmikemilligan.com so you can check them out on the website because that's where you're going to get directly to Mike again and his team, along with a lot of fantastic resources. So caring is sharing. Share this podcast out, both video and audio, with your friends and family because you want them to share in that success. And make sure you're talking to somebody like Mike. Talk to Mike. It doesn't matter if you're across the country because this right here can show you it doesn't matter where you are. Mike and his team can meet with you. Well, thanks, Mike. It's been another great week.
Absolutely, Mark. Just like we could share across the country, you and I are hundreds of feet apart from each other. Hundreds. It's great stuff.
So, all
All right, buddy.
It's been good. We'll talk again next week. And guys, remember, stick it through the hard times. You're going to come back around. They always do.
Sounds good.
See you next time.